Hello, welcome to ArthaChitra. In this video I will discuss how to code a sharp-script indicator. So we will create a basic indicator which is based on ATR, and it envelopes over the price basically. So we'll go to new sharp-script and click on the new button. This will bring up the new sharp-script view, and we will select the script type as indicator, and we will set a name. We will set the name as ATR envelope, for example, since it's based on ATR, and click on OK. This will bring up the sharp-script editor. So before going through it, let us discuss what's out here basically. So if you look at the button here, basically there is a property which is named as period. Now depending on your indicator, you may or may not need it. If you don't need it, simply delete it. But here for example we will need it, so we will keep it. And if you look here also, as you can see, there is an input attribute. So what does it does basically? The input attribute basically does two things. Major function is like if you cache an indicator, whether the property will be evaluated while comparing two indicators depend on this. And secondly, how the display name will be will be displayed based on also. So for example, here in the here in this ATR indicator, for example, this 14 value is set. Whether this will be, if you change it, it changes to 16, 17 as the case may be. Whether this will be displayed here or not also depend on this input attribute. Now just above that, here it is the on bar update. This is an abstract method and user has to override it. This will be called upon each incoming tick. Above that is the on state change. Now an indicator or any sharp-script code goes through various states. For example, when you initialize this dialog and add an indicator, the initialize state is being called. The state is being set to initialize, and here you define the various plots and lines which are then be available here for editing. When you click this OK button, the startup state is being called, and then what happens basically is the bars are being historical bars are being calculated, and the state changes to historical. And when the real-time data comes in, the state changes to real-time, and when you dispose of a indicator, the finalize state is being called, and the state is set to finalize. And in finalize, for example, all the cleanup codes are appended out here. And if you look above that, these are the constructors. So this is the basic ATR envelope. This doesn't have any parameters, so this basically called this 14 means it calls this, since it has an end period, the default value is 14. This period, this points to this property here. Okay, and next it is the panel count. 0 means that the indicator will be plotted in a new panel. Since here in this code, for in this purpose, for example, we are plotting on the price panel, which is panel number 1. So we set it to 1, and the calculate how whether the indicator will be calculated on each tick, or when calculated when the price changes, will be defined by this. Since it's not being for our purpose, it's not being calculated on each tick, we set it to on price change only. Okay, now let's start. First we will set an ATR, private ATR equal to null, and we will define the ATR in the on startup, and we will set the ATR value, for example the ATR period value by defining this period property. So this ATR equal to add or get ATR this period. Okay, fine. Now we will add a couple of plot, which basically the upper envelope and the lower envelope. So add plot, new plot, we'll name it like up, new line plot style, brushes, okay, green, and the width will be 2, and add plot, new plot, it will be down, new line plot style, brushes, okay, make it brown, and the width will be 2. Now let us compile it.
Compile successfully.
Compiling fine. Now we come to the on bar update and values. This is essentially the up plot. This refers to this. Okay, so equal to, this will be close 0 plus this ATR 0, and the down ATR is values 1 0, oh, value type values, okay, equal to close 0 minus. Now instead of this ATR we can also arrow get ATR this period. We can also append the same as this. This will also compile fine.
Compile successfully.
Okay, but basically this and this, the values will return the same value, this and this, but the problem is it will evaluate, the compare the ATR every time, and this is not very efficient way. That's why it's always good to define it on the on startup method or in the initialize method. So we will change this to ATR 0 and we compile it.
Compile successfully.
And now we just go right click, indicator, ATR envelope, and we can set the period from the user parameter. Everything other looks good. We can change the color out here, or the opacity or the thickness. We'll just set it here and click on OK, and now it's just plotting fine. Now we will do something else also. Let's say instead of the close, we want to refer to the previous bar. For example, this ATR value is being calculated from this bar. We don't want that. We want this ATR value to be calculated from the previous bar. So what we can do is like simply set this to 1. And now and also, since we are calling our bars back, so we have to make sure that there are adequate bars, so if current bar less than 1, we don't want to do anything, return. And now
Compile successfully.
okay, now if we come and click OK, so this is now being calculated from the previous bar. Okay, now let us do one thing, is like we don't want this to be as a fixed 1 bar, but rather we want it also as a user defined input. Okay, so for that what we have to do is like we have to define a property, private int, and we would name it as barsago. Barsago equal to, the default value will be 0, that is the current bar, and this is also an input, so we will define the input attribute, and public int barsago return barsago, and set barsago equal to max value. Okay, and we also want to change this to barsago, this barsago this barsago, and not to forget about this barsago.
Compile
Okay.
successfully.
And we have to also change the corresponding constructors. So this will be 14 and 0, and this will be int barsago, this barsago equal to barsago. Now compile
Compile
it.
successfully.
Fair enough. Now the problem is, if we open the indicator selector view, here only one parameter is visible. The barsago property is not visible out here. So the basically in what we do out here is, in ArthaChitra we define everything via XAML template. This is normally what happens is like there is a property grid control, and the properties are set via the property grid control only. That is true for any other most of the other charting softwares, but since ArthaChitra is written in WPF, and by default WPF do not have a property grid control. Now one can always write his or her own custom property grid, but then that is too WinFormish and certainly not the way not the WPF-ish way basically. So here in WPF, if 50% is the is the business logic, that is the code, 50% would be how you design the view, and which is done via XAML templates. So in ArthaChitra also, what we have done is we have defined a series of templates. For example, if you come to the My Documents ArthaChitra XAML resources indicator folder, you will find a whole lot of XAML folders. For example, let's open the RSI, and you can see this. Now ArthaChitra doesn't have a XAML editor inbuilt, but however you can use the normal notepad to edit it, or you can use Visual Studios, or there are many editors available online, XAML editors, for example XAML pad, etc. But for our case, this notepad will suit us fine, but the best option would be definitely the Visual Studios only. So we will just make a copy of this, and we will name it as ATR envelope, and we will edit it. First we will change the name. We are going by the default naming convention, that is the indicator name plus it should suffix with the word indicator. So here we will ATR envelope. Okay, this will do fine. Now you can give a different name also. In such case you have to override the template property in the code, but this works fine, for example. And let's change the A, since we have only two properties, which is like best fit for the RSI indicators, which have also have two user defined input. So here the period is working fine, and this is like smooth, so we will change this to bars ago, and binding to the bars ago property, bars ago, and we will set the minimum to 0. Okay, that's it. Save. Now any changes in XAML needs a restart, so we will just go ahead and restart ArthaChitra. Okay. Now let us go and see whether it has been populated or not. So now if you can see here, we have the period as 14 and the bars ago as 0. Now we will change this to, let's say, a different figure, let's say 5. Okay, now it is giving a completely different values. So this is just working fine. We'll set it to 0. Okay, fine. Now we would also like to do is like we'll also expose it so that other indicators can get the value of it. So what we can do is, for that is we will add a public static partial class get indicator. Public static ATR envelope script base owner, and we have two inputs like a period and bars ago. So int period and bars ago, and we will leave it like this, and we will create another public static ATR envelope, ATR envelope, sharp script base owner, iSeries double input and period and bars ago. And basically this will cache the indicator if called from any other indicator. So we will simply return cache indicator ATR envelope owner input new object period bars ago. And here we will set like return ATR envelope owner dot input period bars ago. Okay, and we will also expose the series. For that, this is in the indicator, so public I series double up get return values 0 and the down public I series double down. Return values 1. Now let us compile it.
Compile successfully.
Okay. So what will it do is basically when you call the get add or get indicator, if you will find the ATR envelope. So you can add like this, set a period and set a bar back like 1, and you can reference it to other indicators. Now since we are not doing it, we will just set it to ATR only.
Compile successfully.
Okay. Now let us go and find. Now in SharpScript, another thing you can do is like you can set the series for it. You can change the series. For example, currently the values are being calculated from the close only. Now let's say if I want to change the series to input to say, let's say EMI 14 day EMI. Now if we do it, and this is a EMA, let's plot a EMA also. I will change the color to indigo. Okay, and we click on OK. Now this is surely not working, so we have to change the code. So what's wrong? Okay, what we have done is like we have set it to close, close plus add the ATR value or minus subtract the ATR value. So we will change this close to input, and here also we change the value to input. Now let us compile.
Compile successfully.
Okay, now if we initialize it, EMA of close. Okay, now this is the envelope is calculated based on the EMA only and not on the close, which was the case in the previously. So basically this is it. It is Sharp script in essence is C#, and thus it is extremely flexible and user can do a lot of stuff. And that's it.